What happens when the only thing you have in your hands is ridiculously little for the problem in front of you? Thousands of people had followed Jesus to a remote place. 5,000 men, not counting the women and children. And it grew late, and they were hungry, very hungry. Jesus looked at Philip and asked, "Where are we going to buy bread so all these people can eat?" And the Bible says something beautiful. Jesus already knew what he was going to do. He was only testing his faith. Philip did the math. Even 8 months' wages wouldn't buy enough bread to give each one a single bite. Impossible. The numbers didn't add up. But then Andrew, another of his disciples, said something almost embarrassed. "Here's a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 little fish. But what is that for so many people? Stop at that, boy." In the middle of 5,000 hungry men, one single boy opened his lunch, the little he had, and he handed it over. Jesus said, "Bring it to me." He took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. He looked up to heaven. He gave thanks, and he began to share. And here's the miracle. The bread didn't run out. The disciples handed it out, and there was still more. Everyone ate, everyone, until they were satisfied. 5,000 men, plus women and children, eating from one boy's lunch. And when they finished, Jesus said, "Gather what's left over, so nothing is wasted." And they filled 12 baskets with the leftover pieces. There was more left over than there had been at the start. Listen closely, because this is for you. You look at what you have and you say, "This isn't enough. Your time isn't enough. Your money isn't enough. Your talent is too small. Your strength is gone." And you're right. In your hands, it isn't enough. But the boy didn't multiply the bread. Jesus multiplied it. The miracle didn't happen while the bread was in the boy's hands. It happened when the boy put it in the hands of Jesus. God doesn't ask you to have enough. He asks you to hand over the little you have. Stop despising your lunch. That thing that seems ridiculously small, in his hands, feeds 5,000, with more to spare. Hand over your 5 loaves, and watch what he does with them. What if the solution to your impossible debt were already inside your house, and you don't even know it? A widow came desperate before the prophet Elisha. Her husband had died, and he had left a debt behind, and now the creditor was coming to collect in the worst possible way. He was going to take her 2 sons as slaves to pay what she could not pay. Imagine that level of desperation. You're about to lose your children, and you have nothing. Elisha asked her a question that changed everything. "What do you have in the house?" And she answered what we all answer when we're sinking. "Nothing. Your servant has nothing in the house, except a small jar of oil." Nothing. Just a little oil. To her, that was nothing. But to God, that nothing was the seed of the miracle. Elisha told her, "Go and borrow empty jars from all your neighbors, and don't ask for just a few. As many as you can get. Then go inside, shut the door behind you and your sons, and start filling all those jars with your oil." She obeyed. She shut the door, and she began to pour her small jar of oil into the first empty jar. And the oil kept flowing. It filled one jar, and another, and another. Her sons kept bringing her empty jars, and she kept filling them, one after another, without stopping, until she said to her son, "Bring me another jar." And he answered, "There aren't any left." And in that instant, the oil stopped. Look closely. The oil stopped flowing when the empty jars ran out, not when God's oil ran out. The miracle was as big as the empty space she prepared to receive it. She went to Elisha and told him everything, and he said, "Go, sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons can live on what's left." Listen, when you're sinking, your instinct is to stare at everything you don't have. But God asks you the same question. He asked her, "What do you have in the house?" Not what you lack, what you have. That little bit you despise, that jar of nothing, is exactly where God begins. And then He sends you to gather empty jars. Because the size of your miracle depends on the space you prepare for it. Don't ask for a few. God doesn't have little oil. You have few jars. What's in your house is enough. Start pouring. What do you do when God sends you to the very place where, in theory, it's impossible to survive? The prophet Elijah had just stood before the most wicked king in Israel and declared, "As the Lord lives, there will be neither dew nor rain in these years, until I say so." A total drought, no water, no crops, famine across the whole land. And right after saying that, God gave Elijah a strange order. "Leave this place, hide yourself by the brook of Cherith. You will drink from the brook, and I have ordered the ravens to feed you there." Stop at that. Ravens. God chose ravens. Scavenger birds, unclean, selfish, that steal food instead of sharing it. And those, precisely those, God commanded to be the ones to bring food to the prophet. Elijah obeyed. He went to that hidden brook in the middle of a land drying up, and every morning the ravens came. They brought him bread and meat, and every evening they came back, bread and meat again, and he drank from the brook. Think about how strange that miracle was. Elijah woke up each day not knowing if he would eat, and each day, from the sky, against all logic, the least trustworthy birds in the world came down with his breakfast and his dinner. Punctual, faithful, because it wasn't the ravens who decided, it was God who sent them. But then comes the part almost nobody preaches. After a while, the brook dried up, because there had been no rain in the land. Elijah's source ran out. And here's the lesson you need today. Your brook drying up doesn't mean God abandoned you. It means God is moving you. That same God who fed him by the brook already had the next place ready, the next provision before the first one ran out. Listen to me. Sometimes God provides in the most unexpected ways, through people you never imagined, in places where there should be nothing, by way of ravens you never expected. Don't you decide where your help has to come from. Just obey where He tells you to wait. And when your brook dries up, don't panic. It's not the end. It's the sign that it's time to get up and walk toward the next provision He already has ready. God never runs out of resources, even if He has to send you bread in the beak of a raven. Shalom, shalom.